Blockchain Show is a podcast that demystifies cryptocurrencies and distributed ledger technology.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Blockchain Show. This is episode number 133. Today's guest is Martin Floreani, talking to us from Austin, Texas, about Rokfin. Rokfin is a creator-first subscription media company and a live digital platform that rewards content creators for the full value they generate. So we're going to talk a little bit about their Ray token usage, why ICOs are a dirty word, and how creators actually own their own content, and much more. This is a really good talk, and I want to thank Martin for taking the time to speak with me today. I'm sorry that we took a little bit of time off last week. It was kind of hard to get an episode scheduled, but we're going to have 2 episodes this week, so hopefully that makes up for it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And now I'd like to welcome to the show for the first time, Martin Floreani. Hi, Martin.
Hey, what's up, Show? How you doing?
Pretty good. This is kind of a unique project you guys are working on, and instead of having me break it down for the audience, would you briefly introduce yourself and then we can get into Rokfin?
Yeah, for sure. My name is Martin Floreani. I was the founder and CEO of Flow Sports for 12 plus years, built that company up from 0 to 250 people. Myself and co-founders, we built it from nothing, just basically with the vision of serving a community better. And we found product market fit, scaled the company, raised about 40 million in capital, and built a good, strong following within these underserved sports. And so that was great. Did that for 12 years. Left the company February of last year, and have founded Rokfin.
Awesome. So this is not your first startup.
No.
Cool. So I was looking at some of the people you have on so far, and maybe we can get into that later. But I guess it's more of a creator first. Would you call it like a subscription media company?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so, our mission is to be the best platform in the world for creators to monetize their content. And right now, there's a big problem. And the problem is that creators, just staying outright are just getting screwed. And they're getting screwed. The reasons of why they're getting screwed has their roots based in aggregation theory. And aggregation theory was developed by Ben Thompson, but essentially the digital platform serves as the gatekeeper between the supply side of a network and the customers. And as that network grows, the digital platform has more and more power, more and more control, and more equity and value. Because they have all the power and the control, and because they control the data, they're able to really obfuscate and make it so that they retain all of the network surplus. Network surplus is what is left over after you take the value of each one of the creators. And once you put values into once you put creators into networks, essentially what happens is the network becomes much bigger than the sum of the parts. And the difference between the whole and the sum of the parts is what is called the network surplus. And so the digital platform network owners are able to retain all of that network surplus and even charge higher rents on to the creators, or the creators or the surplus in our case. And so this is a big problem. It's only going to get worse as these networks get big. And you can see it definitely with the likes of YouTube.
Yeah, and it kind of also brings to mind Netflix. I like to watch or listen to a lot of comedians out in kind of the West Hollywood area. Luckily, I'm in this area, so I can physically go and watch them. But I also like to listen to their podcast. And there's one comedian in particular who he's hesitant. His name's Theo Vaughn. He's hesitant to do another Netflix special because he doesn't want that company to own all of his content. And just hearing him describe it kind of reminded me of a creative slave in a way, because he doesn't really own his own material that it took him years to formulate.
We've kind of gone through that same thought process as we've peeled back the onion here and really took deep dive. And it's really the analogy we finally came up with was like a sharecropper. Like, you're on someone else's land, you're working, and you you have no hopes of, like, the creators on these platforms, their leverage doesn't go up with time, it goes down. Their control goes down with time. And there's more and more competition with time. And you got to I kind of came at this from an aggregator point of view because I've already built a company, a digital network. And I built it in such a way so I wasn't going to get leveraged by any one particular creator. And the network makes it easy for the digital platform to do that. And over time, the digital platform has more and more leverage to extract more and more concessions from these content creators and IP owners, because essentially they start to rely on the network to stay connected to their fans, to be relevant within their space. And the network justifies them taking less by saying, you know what, go find a way to sell merchandise instead. Make it up in merchandise. Make it up in ticket sales. Make it up in something else, because you're going to get more exposure by being on our network. All the while, they're hoarding the full network surplus and just imposing more and more obfuscating data to make sure that content creators and IP owners don't know where the true value is. So that allows them to continue on with the scheme.
Well, that's interesting. I wonder if it's almost like kind of like a fear of missing out in a way that has kept people. Well, I guess there hasn't been an alternative yet. So we're still kind of living in the post-unplugged age, I guess you could say. So that's interesting because you mentioned YouTube, and I see that you have some MMA fighters as well. What other kinds of content, do you have or do you see being available?
So we just started to see what took off. And, my background is sports, so a lot of my network is there. And so sports naturally came to the platform based on my history and my track record. So we have wrestling, MMA. We're about to launch, Jordan Burroughs is about to launch his own masterclass on our platform, which, by the way, he owns. Everyone who uploads all the content, they own all of the rights to the content, so they can take that content down at any time. So he's launching his own channel and launching his own masterclass tomorrow, which we're really excited about. So wrestling, MMA, comedy. We have a couple of political pundits that are on the platform. Graham Elwood comes to mind. He's really interesting cat. Like him. And then we have some lifestyle. So like people just kind of doing some lifestyle videos. And we are, so I mean, it's going a wide spectrum, and it's starting organically. We're in a closed alpha, and the amount of creators that we got coming to the platform is increasing each week. And our creator engagement is off the charts, and our subscribers and the economic model is really starting to tick up. So it's fun.
That's awesome. What would it look like for, maybe like a listener of the show who wanted to start subscribing? How would they get connected, and what's the payment process?
Yeah, great question. So a listener could come to Rokfin. They can search Rokfin. They find a channel that they love. They can simply sign up, just go through a payment funnel. They put in their credit card. It's $9.99 a month. Once they sign up, they get access to all of the creators on the platform. And on the back end, what we're doing is we're burning $9.99 worth of Ray token. And you can see, everyone can verify that we're burning that. So whenever anyone gets charged, we burn the equivalent amount of Ray token. And once a certain amount of work is done on the platform, rewards get distributed to the content creators and the digital platforms that have provided that value. So and we measure value as customer acquisition and customer retention. So essentially, the Ray token acts as an access token to the network, and it has inherent utility because the only way we can continue to accept $9.99 credit card payments is by burning and having Ray on hand to handle all the burns that will occur.
Okay, I've heard that term a lot lately, but I'm not sure I completely understand it. I'm sure there's a few people listening. Could you maybe explain just the burning concept a little more?
Yeah, so the burning essentially is making a token worthless, right? Useless. Now, you send it to an address that that token can't be retrieved from, but everybody can verify that it was sent there. So essentially, we take $9.99 worth of Ray. And we'll send that amount of Ray. It could be 100 Ray, it could be 10 Ray. It really depends on what Ray is trading at. And we send that amount of Ray to an address. And so that's the burn process. And the mint is just your traditional mint. Once a certain amount of work is done on the network, so once the amount of charges that have been occurred on the network, a new mint occurs. And based on which content provided the value, those Ray tokens get distributed to creators that provided the value for the network.
Awesome. And you said it's like Ray token? Is it RAY?
RAE. RAE.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. It's traded on the Mercantile Exchange right now.
Cool. Yeah, that's interesting. I wanted to go back to when you were talking about networks, and I was reading a little bit about you. You were talking about the network effect. Would that be kind of the classic model that you were describing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I guess maybe a big part of your challenge would be attracting new users once you guys officially go live. Do you have any strategies for kind of getting some people away from the modern networks and the giant, Netflixes of the world?
Yeah, that's a really astute point, Ethan. And what blockchain technology is really good at, providing financial utility for the people who join networks early on. So you think around Bitcoin, the first miners in Bitcoin earned a whole lot of Bitcoin. And if they retained any of those Bitcoins, they're probably worth tens of millions, hundreds of millions, if not billions worth billions of dollars, right? Just because back in the day, it was a whole lot easier to earn Bitcoin in mining because it was less competitive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So same token. We use the same token mechanics for Rokfin. Instead of 21 million, there will only ever be 34 million, but it's got a similar half-life to Bitcoin. We did no pre-mine. We did no ICO. We did no founder's reward. We just started at zero. And we did that because if we did the pre-mine, if we did the ICO, it would all be at the expense of the content creators. And our whole mission is to say enough is enough. The content creators they need to have certain rights, so to speak. They cannot continually be marginalized by networks. And so we started with zero. And so the content creators that come on early, they're able to earn Ray token. And as the network grows, they'll be able to earn it easier today than when the network is bigger tomorrow. So that provides financial utility for content creators to come on early. It also incentivizes early adoption so that it helps us get past what they call the bootstrapping phase, right? So when a network develops, it has this bootstrapping phase. If you can think of, for example, eBay. Well, how do you get the first seller on eBay if you don't have a customer? And how do you get the first customer on eBay if you don't have a seller? And so every network that starts has this initial bootstrapping phase where they gotta get the sellers and the buyers onto their respective platforms. And so a blockchain really gives the early adopters to the network this financial utility where it incentivizes early adoption to reward those more heavily for coming on early. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I really like that. At first, I thought about the incentive for the content creators, but now after you describe that, that's really cool. The incentive for the people joining as well, just to view. That's really, really awesome. I didn't even think about that. I'm sorry I keep talking about comedians. I think that's just one of my main interests here. But I remember back in the 90s, everyone wanted a sitcom. They wanted to be on The Tonight Show, or they needed that exposure because there wasn't anything else. But now we have all these different avenues, and it seems like it would be like a disparity mindset that there wasn't enough to go around. And now it seems like there's just so much out there. I mean, someone could, you could literally not hear everything. There's not enough time in a lifetime. I like that Rokfin is kind of fostering what I saw as collaboration over competition. So can you speak to how that ecosystem is going to work?
In like YouTube, for example, if you post great content on YouTube, you're going to get you can get potentially other people to mimic that content, and you'll all of a sudden have this competition, and it's in YouTube's best interest to make sure that no particular creator has too much leverage with the network. And so if you see a video that's really cool here, you'll see 10 other cool videos by different content creators. Now that provides really great discovery for the users, but for the content creator, it really commoditizes their work. They say, oh, you like this? Well, we got 10 other people that are like that. Now, with Rokfin, you're going to also have that great consumer experience where you can see things that you like and also other things that you love. But instead of the creators being commoditized, they get a stake in the network. They get as they earn tokens, they get a share of the network, and they can decide to either liquidate that share and just sell it as, cash out, so to speak, or they can hold on to it. But as more and more content creators come onto the network becomes stronger, and so their opportunities to their array becomes more valuable as more subscribers come on and join the network. And so essentially what happens is they're not necessarily commoditized by competition. As more people come on, the network gets stronger, their value goes up.
Interesting. So it's like they say imitation's the highest form of flattery, but on Rokfin it can actually, increase the value of your array. So that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, because if you think about it, right, if you have one comedian on a network, that network's not going to be really that powerful. But if you have 1,000 comedians on the network, well, now that network is an incredibly strong network. And remember, networks the whole is greater than the sum of the parts when it comes to networks, right? So 1,000 comedians on a network, that network's a really, really strong network, much larger than the sum of the parts. And so the beneficiaries are the comedians, because they get a share of that network surplus. And so they're not, although that there's competition, it's cooperative competition. It's a good thing that these guys are competing, and they're not competing in an alley. They're competing from their respective mansions.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I know that that's a big problem in the comedian world is, joke thieves, or like, I remember like in the sitcom era when I heard about writers from different TV shows going to the comedy clubs and just sitting in the back taking notes, and then eventually you'd hear those jokes on the shows later. It's just kind of weird how in the entertainment industry people can straight up rip things off and it's just considered business, but in other I wouldn't condone that in any form or fashion. I don't think that's like a good thing, but yeah, that does. I guess it's part of like sometimes there's a line to it, right, where it's really, really bad. But I don't want people to think that you can come on Rokfin and just take people's stuff, because obviously. Oh no, sorry, I wasn't trying to say that. I was just. Yeah. I think that I know you were. Just like the changing in media forms has allowed it for everything to be more transparent, so you can kind of say like, oh no, this person had that joke back in 2019, and it's actually on the blockchain. So. But I like what you're doing, and I wanted to talk about just the city. You're in Austin, aren't you?
Yeah.
I used to always see these stickers that said "Keep Austin Weird." I'm wondering, is it still weird?
It's a little less weird, maybe.
Right on.
It's got its DNA in weird, but it's grown so much, and I know it's almost cliche to say, right? Because you come down, and every time you come downtown, there's new buildings and there's construction, east side, west. Everywhere. It's just nonstop. So, but I love it. I love it through and through. It's great food. It's a great place to live, and traffic relative. The distances are so much shorter from place to place, right? So. Even if there's traffic, it's just not the extent of like a Chicago, LA, or New York, where you're sitting in traffic for like 2 hours. It's not like that, right? And so I think it's a good balance.
Yeah, well, maybe we shouldn't talk too nice about it, or you might get more people moving there and get more traffic. But
yeah, it's already happening.
What's the blockchain scene like there?
It's pretty good. It's a growing scene. There's several companies that are listed that are out here. Some of our team, we recruited through the community of the blockchain of the community here. So I think it's solid. I don't think it's to the level of obviously in New York or in LA, but it's good.
Awesome, man. Yeah, the LA blockchain scene I still haven't cracked that yet. You'd think I would, but everybody's hiding out over in Silicon Beach, or I think there's some offices in Hollywood somewhere, but they're out there coding away. Yeah, man. So what's the next steps for Rokfin? You said you're still in the alpha, right?
Yeah, so we're in a closed alpha. So that means we look at the creators that come on and filter them pretty tightly. After that comes closed beta, where the amount of features that we have will be pretty standard from there on in, and then comes the open beta. Back half of this year, we're going to be raising a seed round, and so those are the things that are on the forefront of what we're doing here.
How are you guys raising? What's that process like?
Yeah, we're raising a seed round about $3 million, a little less than $3 million. Not an ICO. It's through VCs and angel investors.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like ICO has kind of become a dirty word here lately.
ICOs are dirty.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't make sense to me. They really they misalign. So part of the beauty of blockchain is to really align different people's interests and make sure everyone's working on the same page. And even if you're competitive, you're all working to strengthen the network. Just think of, Bitcoin miners, think of content creators on Rokfin. Like you can be competitive, but you really all benefit when the network value goes up. And so ICOs, they really put people in different classes. When you just give away tokens or give away coins from your network, you're giving away value from the network. All of a sudden, it just misaligns people's interests. And so the key point of building an effective blockchain ecosystem is making sure everybody has aligned interest. And so ICOs are just fundamentally don't do that. It's not a good vehicle to do that. It was used as a get rich quick. Some people cashed in on that, but it's not our style. It's not something we'll ever touch.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're kind of out of that phase. I remember there was a lot of hype around blockchain. Maybe, I don't know, definitely 2018 seemed to kind of peak, maybe a little before that. It seems like things are kind of starting to level out a little bit, but I was going to ask you, what are some of the barriers to adoption that you see people having? Why is it taking so many people so long to kind of get hip to this stuff?
Well, anything as massive at what Bitcoin is doing is really changing our money system. It's almost healthy for it to take a little bit, because that's a big change. I'm big with iteration, but I believe in Bitcoin. I'm a huge supporter of what Bitcoin is. A big believer that it will continue to rise and continue to gain prominence in the world around finances and around people storing value. So that's good. And it's really relative. It has exploded on the scene. I know though it seems like a long time because it's been 10 years, but it has a strong foundation to grow a whole lot more. For other projects, I think the problem has been people lead with the consumers around blockchain, and they lead around cryptocurrencies, and people just aren't used to hearing those words. And so with Rokfin, we lead with, hey, come get great content, pay $9.99, just like you're used to. And we use blockchain and its use to optimize really for a cooperative game, where how can we get all these content creators to cooperate, work together, where everybody benefits. That's what we use blockchain for. We don't use it to to try and get people into cryptocurrencies or anything else. We just try and solve a problem with the technology. And I think if more people just solve real world problems with the technology, it'll get more adoption.
Yeah, it's like when you guys win, everybody wins, and vice versa. And I used to kind of have a little healthy fear. I don't know if it's healthy. Like, could blockchain technology be used to control people, or could it be used in a negative way? But, the more I interview people, the more I kind of look into it. It just seems like the whole functionality of blockchain, it just kind of has like almost like a benevolent spirit to it, just to get a little ethereal with it. Do you see any potential, negative areas that this could potentially have, if that makes sense?
Like anything, there can be negative things to it. I mean, with our current monetary system, God knows there's a lot of negativity with it. But I think that it's just double-edged sword that comes with technology, right? And people sometimes, risk-averse people sometimes highlight the negative side of new things without understanding the risk of what they're currently using today. And the risk is less apparent because maybe it's more normalized for them, or maybe they don't see it's a hidden risk, right? But there's risk today, and there's problems with what's going on today. So just like in any technology, it is it has its plus. It can have a double-edged sword, but holy cow! I mean, it's so much superior, I think, to the way we operate today. There's just this weekend I was talking to a friend, and we were talking, and it's like poor middle class people throughout the world live in currency. That's what they transact with. They transact with currency. And when the governments print more money, it hurts them, because rich people, they live in capital. They live with their real estate investments, their stock investments. And so when the government prints more money and prices go up, well, their land is worth more. Their stocks are worth more. They get the benefit of that. While poor to middle class people are left with the pain of inflation. And so it's just a better system. And to have it where people can understand how much minting is going to occur. What is the schedule for minting? Why does it happen? And people can really break it down, and no one can break it. It's just a better way to do things. And so, sure, does it have risks? Yeah, but holy cow, does our current financial institutions have risk? Yes, they got a ton of risks themselves. So some people just normalize those risks, and they don't, or they're hidden risks, and they don't realize that they're operating with them. So, any new technology is going to have problems, but it's a much superior, superior way about going about things.
Yeah, that was really well said. Thank you for explaining that. I think I was just, compared to our current monetary system, it seems like, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, just seems like a godsend. It's just like, because like you said, the people on the bottom can benefit just as much as the people on the top. Yeah, man, I really like talking with you, and I hope we can talk again. Maybe when, who knows? Maybe like 6 months to a year. See how things are going.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you want to leave us with?
No, just go out and check Rokfin.com. Check out the different creators we have. Play around with the site, and consume some of the exclusive content we got.
All right, so do that, everyone. Thank you, Martin.
All right. Hey, Ethan, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. See ya.
Okay, thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode. Please check back with us on Friday. We're going to have Daniel Papa from Anchor. Keep telling your friends about the show, especially if you live in the Silicon Beach area. I definitely want to interview some people down there. If you haven't already, please give us a kind rate or review on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get this episode. It really does help us get out there a little bit further. We're going to have Steve back on the show pretty soon. We were trying to do something last week, but it kind of fell through. I mean, we both have families, and sometimes it's just kind of hard. I think he's going on vacation in the weeks to come, and I'm gonna do a little 4-day trip back home. We'll still keep the podcast pumping out. Oh, and we're going to have an exclusive interview. Well, it's not exclusive. A very special episode with Dr. Ben Goertzel. from the Singularity Network. I'm really excited about that. We're still trying to plan that out. I heard him on Joe Rogan. I don't know. It's been quite a few months by now. But yeah, stay tuned, everyone. Let us know what you think. If you're not happy with the show, please send that through email rather than the rating or review section. If you go on Apple Podcasts, we don't have very good reviews, so I'd really appreciate it if somebody out there could give us a little love on there. If we deserve it, of course. And, let us know what you want more of, what you want less of. Definitely want to keep this show going in a positive direction. Thank you, everyone, for downloading. And we'll talk to you on Friday.